Hey, what's up guys? This is Oakley and we are going to be back to playing some multiplayer battles. The Attila news has cooled down, so I'm going to switch back into covering some of the Rome 2 videos and multiplayer that I know you guys love and enjoy. So anyways, we're going to be playing two factions as Armenia. Here you can see me just darting forward right off the bat. So I'm going to be playing here as Armenia, as I just said, and then my ally, who is also as Armenia, as I also just said, he's going to be Koala from the Bear Clan, so he's going to be moving up in formation. Now, he's focused mostly on Eastern Archers with the line of Eastern Spearmen in the front. I heard Eastern Spearmen are performing a lot better in this patch, so I guess that's why he was using them with the wing of these Axemen, and then backing up with a lot of Cav. Let's go ahead and put this on slow motion because it does get off to a fast start. Our opponents are both going to be playing as Parthia. Now, Parthia is known as a power faction in this latest patch. Haven't checked what the hotfix did lately. But we're going to catch our opponents by surprise, but it's mostly a heavy cav faction against a heavy cav faction, so it's kind of interesting to see how that plays out. And something that I have not played against yet are going to be the armored cataphract camels. I have not played against these units, so I didn't quite know what to expect. So we'll see how they perform, but you can see a huge wing of the Parthian force swinging up here, trying to go for the high ground, and he has these, elite Persian archers with mercenary hoplites moving up to the top, supported by these hillmen. So I know the hillmen are cheap, Parthian swordsmen are alright, so that's a pretty sizable force that's going to be able to overlook and dominate our position. So what I'm trying to do is pretend that most of my forces are down here, and this is going to be the real meat of our ambush right over here, and you can see we're hidden, and this is where the line of sight from Rome 2 really comes into effect and really becomes a thing of strategy and a thing where you can really bait your opponent into these types of engagements. So he thinks he has the high ground, he's not super worried about what's going on, and so he's kind of feeling safe, and I'm putting a lot of pressure down here so that he has to face this way. That's going to expose his entire flank here, and you can see I'm waiting for him to just march into this little line. I'm going to pull my forces up to the center, and again, just try and draw everyone's attention into the center so that these guys will collapse on me and I can get this flank shot. It looks like they're going to be moving into this position, so let's see if we get any of these advanced shots. So these guys are going to be moving up over the hill. They still don't know what they're seeing, but I should have some arrows raining down on him. Yep, my guys have been exposed because they did get a couple shots off, and here we go. That's pretty intense. Like some, yeah, and the rest of my army should be, yep, okay, so I pulled out, here's the strategy that's going on here. I pulled out 2 units to pretend that's the entirety of my hidden force. That's something you can do, and look at this, he took the bait, he thought that was it. I have more units hidden back here, and now they're going to start, not cocking their guns, but loading their arrows, and now we can watch some of the advantages of having this position. Look at this, the opponents have no idea what's coming at them. And now a hail of arrows. I'm going to put this back in play after this volley, but just so we can enjoy a little bit of what's going on. So they didn't see this coming at all, and here comes the rest of this heavy force. However, this is going to be enough to potentially sweep me off of my hidden position, but the opponents don't quite know what's on the other side of that hill, so I'm going to have to pull in something. That's why I have these noble spearmen to try and support me. That'll be enough to hold back that force as it comes down, sweeps down this hill to attack me. At the same time, I'm going to sort of shoot the gap right here and start picking off either side of this army and just really get him isolated. I see that he's starting to shift over his heavy camel cataphracts over to the left, so I'm going to have to answer in kind. But I've already gotten a pretty sizable amount of kills. His guys are going to decide to answer, but they don't quite know what they're charging into. Just getting picked off by archer volleys. And here they go. They're going to call off that attack because I had more dudes hidden back here ready for the counterattack. So they're forced back. I have more of these troops just getting ready, and some of my own archers are going to be pushing up in this position, elite Persian archers, to try and counter his line of these Parthian horse archers. It looks like the main bulk of his force is shooting over to the right, so I'm going to have to counter this with some of my own troops. I really like these types of battles where it's just cavalry following and just shadowing the enemy force, and just a battle of position. But I am getting some nice early shots against his units. He's going to try and soak them up against these Parthian swordsmen. I do like the reskin of Parthia with these dark purple faded colors. It does look really cool. So this is going to be a pretty big meat shield, but all I have to do is pull back down the hill. However, that's going to give him the opportunity to push forward, but it's now going to bring him into the range of my elite Persian archers. We're going to start taking some shots at him. I do coordinate with my ally to charge into here. This is going to be a huge move for us, so I pulled in with my horse archers to bait him into this fight, and then I came in with my own Persian cav, and here we go, coming in with some of these heavy cataphracts. So this is going to eliminate this force here. The ally here is too far, and we've moved in too close to prevent him from lending support, otherwise he'd expose his flank. And here I'm trying to stem his guys from coming in for the attack. Over here, he charged to the front. I'm going to counterattack and really prevent him from charging into my elite Persian archers. One of his camel cataphracts does get through here. He has more units in the back. Let's go ahead and put this on slow motion because there's a lot going on. You can see how I like to keep a lot of my forces in reserve. That's something I recommend doing. Don't commit too many forces that you don't have to. Just commit enough to hold up those forces, achieve what you need to. I'm not throwing these guys into any battles. I'm holding them as reserves. So for instance, these two guys here, holding as reserves. And now I get one of these forces that pulled out here. Something you'll see me do a lot in my battles and that I recommend is try and isolate units, pin them, and then break them as soon as possible. That's what you have to do. A lot of these hammer and anvil strikes, just isolating units and then freeing up the rest of your forces. So here, he's committing way too many troops to this front, and I'm able to hold 2 whole cavalry units. That's going to be because I'm able to use, I believe these are, noble blood cavalry, very strong troops against these Sarmatian lancers, the mercenary guys, who are not super good, just good on the attack. But once they're in prolonged melee, I can hold those guys. Along this front, I'm being torn apart by his archers. That's fine. I'm doing basically using my archers to select more valuable targets. They're going to trade their lives to try and take out these heavy cataphracts. But I'm taking a lot of fire. One of my archer units is going to just absolutely get smashed. But in doing so, he's going to expose his archers. Over on this front, we do have an extended fight, and I have to owe this to my ally who helped me out on this front. Now, he did retreat to pull back to this front where he is pushing around the flanks. A big engagement going here. Basically, cavalry engagements on the flanks, and now we're going to push in the center. Over here, however, I am holding up 2 of these camel cataphracts. Keep in mind they've taken no damage. My guys, however, are down to 50. They're going to start collapsing relatively quickly, but it owes to the strength of the Persian cav that they're just going to be tenacious and hold into this fight. And this is going to hold up the entirety of my flank, allow me to pick apart these royal cataphracts with Persian cav, even though they're outnumbered. And over here, as I said, the staying power of the noble blood cav is going to kill these guys, and my ability to just hammer and anvil on isolated units is going to start collapsing that. My own horse archers are going to contribute to the fight on that front, and it's pulling back his mercenary hoplites, so I'm going to pull out of that fight, disengage, but it's going to be enough damage done to his archers. And in this big blob, let's go ahead and watch this. I have my heavy noble spearmen, my Cartly axemen in here, so these guys have a lot of armor and staying power, which is one of the great things of the Armenian infantry, is they can really hold this up and allow their cavalry to do what they need to do, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm relying on the steadfastness of my infantry to hold up the enemy Parthian infantry, which is, I think, how you have to beat Parthia, because I think the Armenia has better infantry. So hold his guys, and then, buy as much time as you can with your own heavy horse. Don't commit all your horse, and then some of the horse that you kept from the cavalry engagement, use them to free up your infantry. Once the infantry are free, then you send them after the rest of the Parthian forces. So you can see I was pretty decisive in cleaning up these forces. I think my opponent was too hasty in his assault. He saw that I had a flanking charge on all his guys. Let's watch some of these nice charges here. But yeah, I think he overreacted to my my ambush. My ambush, look at this. It just got a couple kills. He would have been safer pulling back and reforming, but he decided to just charge and try and overwhelm my position. He didn't, however, see that I had enough guys back here that were also hidden that I could get into this fight, and I used this hill to buttress my my forces and sort of force him into these 2 places where I could really hold him back with just heavy infantry. And then on this flank, I held him back with just a couple cav units. Over on this flank, he was probably expecting his camel cataphracts to turn the tide, but somehow my Persian cav are still holding in, so really kudos to them. Maybe these camel guys are just not as good as I thought, or maybe the Persian cav is just really has a lot of staying power. And I'm going to get a rear charge, or rear shots, I should say, with my archers, almost point blank into his camel guys, and that's going to be the best place to shoot these guys, because look at this. That is the weak zone where you want to definitely target these camel forces. And I'm going to be doing cleaning up operations on the rest of these forces, killing his archers wherever I can, and then counter-striking the back of, as I say, always the infantry blocks, counteract those as soon as possible. Whatever's going on here has been a prolonged fight that's been sort of, I don't know. I think Armenia, again, took the center, although it's been more of a shattering of the enemy forces as opposed to a clean mop-up. So it's a lot of confusion still going on, and a lot of these horse archers are still on the run. These guys could, come in and nail this huge blob of archers. This group of archers is susceptible to losing. If that goes down, I mean, what does he have? He just has one axeman here who can't chase those archers, and then a couple of these cataphracts and noble blood cav that are still running around. So this is still up in the air. If he just brings these Sarmatian archers and just smashes this front, it looks like my ally is going to lose. So it's a good thing that I was able to wrap up Parthia on this flank pretty decisively, and now I'm going to have to show my guys the way to the reinforcement and show them, you know, where the real battle is. We've cleaned up this fight, and it looks like, you know, the real battle is going to be signified by the unmanned horses that are just fleeing that catastrophe on this side, which was pretty, I don't know, pretty bloody, I would say. I'm sorry we missed that, but yeah, pretty confrontational, pretty bloody, a lot of cavalry going down on this front, and these camel spearmen probably not making a name for themselves in this battle, but they're doing pretty well on this side, chasing down enemy cav, and then coming in and killing these axemen. So, as I said, it's a good thing I still have forces remaining, because, yeah, this is going to start turning the tide. He did leave some of his archers exposed, so we can go ahead and watch some of my troops over here positioning themselves up on this front. Let's go ahead and hit insert. There we go. So now we're cresting the hill. Now we have an idea of what's going on my allies' side, and we're going to decide to charge it, and we can get a rear shot. Yeah, some of my guys trailing, so I'm not really reforming my guys in any big cohesive line. I'm just going to start prepping them and just kind of wait at the crest of this hill. I don't want to take too many losses, considering he still has a pretty sizable force here. So then I decide to reform, and what I'm doing is I'm using these guys to try and bait archer fire. So he's going to do that pretty effectively, but my guys are going to get out of range, I believe, just in time. Yeah, pulled out of range, and you can see what I'm trying to do. These archers are again hidden, taking advantage of that fact to pull his noble horse archers into fire. And the archers are sometimes gimmicky. If I tell them to fire, it looks like they're going to actually have to climb the hill. Something that, I don't know. Maybe it's something I haven't been aware of, or I had misinterpreted. I thought that if part of your army had sights on a unit, he could fire over the hill. But it looks like in some battles, the archers are going to have to crest the hill and have direct line of sight. That's not totally true in sieges, so I'm not quite sure how that works exactly. If you guys could tell me that in the comments below, that'd be useful. Anyways, I'm sending one of my horse archers here to get some Parthian shot on our opponents as they run by, distract the archers, and then come in with the heavy cav. Just absolutely wreck these guys. He did get some early shots on my guys in the distance, but they're going to be coming back in. This is going to be effective end of his guys. My own units are going to continue to get some shots off, and I decide to try and catch his own Parthian horse archers over here. Noble horse archers, sorry. And I'm not going to take this melee. I mean, my guys are, yeah, horse archers. I do have some Persian cav coming in, so that should tie him down and just make room for my guys to come in. He's counter-charging me on all fronts, and I have a lot to deal with here. So basically throwing away some noble blood cav, and on the crest of this hill, cataphract unit to watch this hill. And basically they are just a wall for the archers to hide behind. I definitely need to use my archers to pick off the enemy forces as much as possible, because he has a lot of archer units, mobile archer units, that I am really scared of. So my opponent could do a lot with these horse archers. However, I'm trying to corral them by having some heavy cav position here, heavy cav position here, so he can't get around, and he's forced to sort of attack me in the center where I have more archers stationed on the hill. So I'm focusing fire on some of his troops. You can see some of them starting to go down, and now we can watch some of my archers gonna unleash another deadly volley. He does have cataphracts coming in. He's gonna do an, yeah, these guys definitely going down. Gonna get some counter shots. My cataphracts are just sitting there. No need to charge his horse archers. I don't need to. He's just gonna slip away, and I need to keep them here to counteract these types of charges. So cataphract v cataphract, pretty epic. But it should go in my favor because I have more numbers, and then his guys are kind of running away from my noble blood cav. I can't get them too far. You can see how he's splitting pretty effectively 3 ways. That's not something I can deal with, so I'm going to move in my archers to deal with that, move in my noble blood cav to get a rear charge, and over on this flank, his infantry were committed here, and I do have some archers getting some shots, and they're basically just a holding force. I'm going to pin his guys from this front and attack from the other side. So my cavalry are getting a decisive advantage. I even routed his guys from point blank, just a couple shots, and now we're going to be able to follow up with some more shots from archers. It looks like this guy is even brandishing his spear. So pretty fun battle. I really like these heavy cavalry on heavy cavalry. Armenia and Parthia, very interesting combination. Anyways, I like the ability that I was able to use these hidden tactics. That's something you should use on like maps like this. And if you'll recall, what I did is my opponent was positioned here. So what you got to do is do something to fix his attention here. So that's why I positioned forces on this front, so that he wouldn't suspect I had forces here. And then once he was starting to edge around this position, I pulled out just 2 of my units so that he'd think, okay, my opponent did have hidden units, but it's only 2 of them, and now I know where they are. So I just had 2 sort of psychological effects or tricks I played on my opponent to really keep him from noticing that I had a lot of built-up forces here. Anyways, let's go ahead and check the replays. So good amount of kills. I ended up carrying the day, it would seem. Koala Bear got a good amount of kills, but actually turns out Eastern Spearmen are still pretty crap. So those are mostly cannon fodder. And yeah, my force is getting a lot of kills. Parthians doing, Persian archers doing alright. noble spearmen holding it tight, and then mostly it was the cataphracts and the Persian cav. I think this was against the enemy. Yeah, camel cataphracts definitely not paying for themselves. Anyways, that's going to be it for this battle. I'll bring you some more of these battles in the future. Thanks so much. See you next time.